The United States is now directly entering the Strait of Hormuz crisis. U.S. Central Command says Project Freedom will begin Monday to restore navigation for commercial ships stranded in the region. Washington says several countries requested U.S. help to move vessels safely through the critical oil corridor.
Countries from all over the world have asked the United States if we could help free up their ships, which are locked up in the Strait of Hormuz.
CENTCOM says Project Freedom will involve guided missile destroyers, more than 100 aircraft, unmanned platforms, and nearly 15,000 troops. The Pentagon says the mission is defensive, but the scale of the deployment signals Washington is preparing for possible confrontation if the operation is challenged.
Our support for this defensive mission is essential to regional security and the global economy, as we also maintain the naval blockade.
President Donald Trump says the United States will use its best efforts to move trapped ships and crews safely through Hormuz. Trump claimed some vessels are running low on supplies and warned that any interference with the operation would be dealt with forcefully in a message widely seen as directed at Iran.
If, in any way, this humanitarian process is interfered with, that interference will, unfortunately, have to be dealt with forcefully.
The Strait of Hormuz carries nearly a quarter of the world's seaborne oil trade, making the crisis a major threat to global markets. Analysts warn that any disruption in the narrow waterway could trigger oil price spikes, shipping chaos, and deeper economic uncertainty across Asia, Europe, and beyond.
The ship movement is merely meant to free up people, companies, and countries that have done absolutely nothing wrong. They are victims of circumstance.
Iran has now issued a direct warning to Washington over Project Freedom. Ebrahim Azizi, head of Iran's Parliamentary National Security Committee, said any American interference in Hormuz maritime traffic would be viewed as a violation of the ceasefire. Azizi also mocked Trump's announcement, saying the Gulf would not be managed by delusional posts.
Any American interference in the new maritime regime of the Strait of Hormuz will be considered a violation of the ceasefire. The Strait of Hormuz and the Persian Gulf would not be managed by Trump's delusional posts. No one would believe blame game scenarios.
Project Freedom is now emerging as one of the most significant U.S. military operations in the Gulf in recent years. While Washington insists the mission is humanitarian, the deployment places American warships directly inside a volatile confrontation zone, sharply raising fears of escalation with Iran. The launch of Project Freedom marks a major turning point in the Hormuz crisis, with possible consequences for global trade, oil markets, and Middle East security.